around, mostly 14th and 15th century, and I want to create a 14th century hairstyle. But there's a problem. My hair is not very 14th century colored. So how do I create a 14th century hairstyle if I cannot use my own hair? The hairstyle that I want to create is a 14th century style that was very common in the Low Countries and more general in northwestern Europe. It's two braids framing the face covered with a veil and optionally a wimple. The method that I'll use is also useful if you have short hair or a different color hair, fringe, or if you don't have any hair at all. And this method actually also has a historical basis. So first I'll show how to do this hairstyle if you can use your own hair. So for this you'll make two braids, and I'll use a ribbon to tie the braids. And this is a petersham ribbon that has a bit more grip than a satin ribbon, so I recommend using either twill tape or petersham, something that grips to your hair. And it needs to be at least twice the length of your hair. I'll use this ribbon to braid along with the hair, so it's really anchored into the hair. So you put the ribbon in with one of the strands of hair, and it will stay with the same strand all throughout the braid. And the nice thing about using a ribbon is also that when you come to the end and the hair runs out, you can still keep braiding with just the ribbon. So you end with a very thin strand and you tie it off with a knot, and this stays very secure. I've never had any problems with that. And then we do the same on the other side. So we have our braids, and now I'm going to wrap these around my head. And I'll do that in front of my ear, up to my face, so that they frame my temples. And the other one comes up on this side, and they cross on the top of my head. And we can also use this to hide our fringe, because the fringe is not very 14th century either. And the trick here is to put the ribbon through the hair loop under your ear, like this. And then you can tie it in the back. There we are. So the braids frame my face, they hold back my fringe, and because the ends are quite thin, it doesn't create a lot of bulk on the top of my head. And this feels pretty secure. You could keep the braids like this. For young unmarried women, that is a possibility. There are images of women wearing this hairstyle, for example, in The Romance of the Rose. But I'm going to secure it with a cap. These are sometimes called St. Brigitta caps, but that refers to one specific relic of St. Brigitta. And caps like these were very commonly used. And they give more security, so that's what I'll do. So I'm tucking the ends of the ribbons in to the cap. The cap holds everything in place, also keeps my fringe securely back. And this is a good basis to put my veil on. A half circle veil. I'm putting the straight edge along my face so that the circle hangs on my back. I'm using pins to secure the veil, brass or silver. So this is a finished look. I think this is super cute. But yeah, the braids are still pink. And if you're going for a 14th century look, that is a problem. So the next step would be to hide that. So to hide my hair, I'm going to use the same braids. I'm just going to wrap them in a different way. So instead of having them visible in front of my ears, I'm going to wrap them behind my head to hide them. But then still crossing on top so I can use them to hide my fringe. So this is very secure and very flat on top, so it won't create a lot of bulk when I cover it with the cap to hide all the hair. For extra security, I've anchored the bands of the cap over the braids, so they hold that in place even more firmly. And again, can hide the tails of the ribbon just by tucking them into the cap. So you probably noticed that I need to touch up my roots, but in this case that's actually a benefit, because even if a little hair does show, it still looks natural. Now all my modern hair is hidden. You can use the veil to create the same look. And this is actually already a very nice, suitable look, but I want the braids because they're cute. So what's the solution? Fake hair. So these are actually just cheap hair extensions that I sewed onto a twill tape and then braided and secured. And I can tie these to my head to fake that this is actually my natural hair color. It might feel strange to tie fake hair to your head, but actually there have been archaeological finds in London of fake braids exactly like these, which makes it plausible that people in the 14th century who didn't have suitable hair themselves could have used fake braids as well, made of flax or horsehair, maybe human hair. So this is a plausible historical method to fake a hairstyle like this. So this is the finished look. I think it's super cute. We have our braids, we have our veil. It looks very natural, it looks very historical, but you and I both know what is really hiding beneath this.